This happened last spring, when my girlfriend and I decided to spend the weekend in a cabin we found on Airbnb. We'd been dating for about a year, and we both needed a break from the city, just a couple days away from work, traffic, and people. The listing said it was a cozy, two-bedroom cabin up in the mountains with a wood stove, forest views, and complete privacy. Sounded perfect. The drive was a bit longer than expected, about 3 hours of winding back roads, but we made it before dark. The cabin looked like the photos, maybe even nicer, rustic but clean. Lots of pine wood paneling and old furniture that felt intentional, not creepy. The key was in a lockbox, just like the host had messaged us, and everything inside was ready. Clean sheets, towels, even a couple of snacks on the kitchen counter. It honestly felt like a great find. There were 2 bedrooms, one on the main floor where we stayed, and another one at the end of a short hallway. That second door was shut and locked when we got there. I tried the handle just out of curiosity, but it didn't budge. I figured it was a storage room or maybe a space the host used for personal stuff. Nothing unusual. Some Airbnb hosts keep a closet or room off limits, and I didn't think twice about it. The first night was uneventful. We cooked, played cards, and watched a movie on my laptop. Around midnight, we went to bed. The forest was dead quiet, and I actually slept better than I expected. But the second night was when things started to feel off. We had just gotten into bed when I heard something. A thump. Not loud, but enough to make me sit up. I thought maybe it was an animal on the porch or something falling in the kitchen. But the sound came again, and this time it was clearer, like something shifting against wood. It was coming from the locked room. I looked over at my girlfriend, who was already staring at the ceiling. "You heard that too, right?" I asked. She nodded slowly. "It sounded like someone's in there." I got up, walked to the door, and stood there for a few seconds. The sound had stopped. I jiggled the handle, still locked. No light coming from under the door, no voices, no movement. Just silence. Still, something about it felt wrong. I didn't sleep much that night. Even though the sound never came back, I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. I kept thinking about the way the thump sounded, like it wasn't just something falling, but something, or someone, moving. The locked door gave it a weird weight, like the house was hiding something from us. The next morning, we tried to act normal, made coffee, stepped out onto the porch to breathe in the cold mountain air. It should have been peaceful, but both of us were on edge. My girlfriend barely touched her breakfast. Around noon, I finally texted the host. I kept it casual, just asked what the locked room was used for and whether there might be animals in the walls or something. It took a couple hours for him to reply. His message was polite but vague. "That room's just for storage. It's always locked for safety. No animals that I know of. Place was professionally cleaned last week. Enjoy your stay." I showed the message to my girlfriend. She just gave me a look and said, "Doesn't really answer anything." Later that afternoon, I walked around the outside of the cabin. There was a small window on the far side of the house, the only one that probably looked into that room. I stood on a log to peek in, cupping my hands to block the glare. But the glass had been completely blacked out from the inside. Not just covered with curtains, painted or tinted, I couldn't see a thing. That's when my gut started screaming that something wasn't right. That evening, we sat in the living room with the lights on, trying to distract ourselves. But around 9 p.m., we both heard it again, another noise from the locked room. This time it wasn't a thump, but a kind of dragging sound, like something being pulled across the floor. I jumped up and went straight to the door. "Hello?" I said. No answer, but the sound stopped, immediately, like someone froze the second they heard my voice. We packed our bags within the next 20 minutes. I didn't care if we'd lose the last night of our booking. Something about that place felt off, like we were being watched, or maybe even tested. Before we left, I opened one of the heating vents in the hallway, just out of curiosity. Inside, barely visible under the metal grate, was a small black object, a camera lens. I didn't say anything right away. I just knelt there, staring into the vent at the small, black lens hidden in the shadows. It was angled toward the hallway, pointing directly at the bedroom we'd been sleeping in. My girlfriend stood a few feet behind me with her coat already on, backpack in hand. "What is it?" she asked. I forced myself to sound calm. "Nothing. Let's just go." We got in the car and drove back down the mountain in near silence. Every few minutes, I caught myself checking the rearview mirror, not because I thought we were being followed, but because the whole situation had messed with my head. That camera wasn't there for security. It was placed where no guest would ever look. There was something calculated about it. We stopped at a gas station about 30 minutes out and sat in the parking lot for a while. That's when I told her what I saw in the vent. She didn't say anything for a full minute, then just whispered, "I knew it." We made a report to Airbnb that night. I didn't know what else to do. I attached pictures of the cabin, the sealed window, even described the sound we heard. I wanted to include the camera, but we hadn't taken it out. I didn't want to touch it. We just left it there, and I regret that. The platform opened an investigation and said they'd follow up, but nothing ever came of it. The listing was removed about a week later, but no explanation was given. I checked the host's profile again a few months after. It was gone too. What still gets me is this. I went back through the Airbnb photos to see if I'd missed something obvious. In one of the older pictures, you could actually see the vent cover in the hallway, but the grate looked slightly different, more open, like it didn't have anything behind it. Someone had added that camera recently. To this day, I don't know if we were just part of something small, some creep's private collection, or if that room had something worse inside. Maybe it was where he kept equipment, or maybe he stayed in there, listening, watching. All I know is we were being observed, not just filmed, but studied. That kind of thing changes how you see privacy. You realize it's not about ghosts or curses, it's about people. And sometimes, the scariest part isn't what's behind a locked door. It's knowing someone else has a key.